And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. My name is Evans Mensah. They lost at the polls. They were then walloped at the Supreme Court. But nearly 2 years on, the NDC has not given up the fight about the conduct of the 2020 elections by the Electoral Commission. Today in Parliament, the party's MPs are now firmly on a collision course with their MPP colleagues after they filed the private members' motion demanding a bipartisan committee to review the EC's processes for the 2020 elections. Already, the NDC MPs are being accused of bad faith and abusing parliamentary procedure for a fishing expedition. I want to take you live now to Parliament. My parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, is on the telephone line with a copy of this motion that has been filed. Kweku, this motion that has been filed, it stands in whose name precisely?
So, 5 members of Parliament on the minority side, starting from Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak, who we know is the Minority Chief Whip, Dr. Dominic Akutinga Ayine, Mr. Bernard Ahiafo, Mr. Kofi Adams, and Ms. Zuwaira Mohammed Ibrahima. 5 minority MPs pushing this motion.
Apart from asking for a bipartisan committee that will review the Electoral Commission's work in the last elections, what else are they demanding?
So they are demanding a rather 9 expansive issues. First, they want this committee to be chaired by a member of the minority. They are also asking that the committee must inquire into the circumstances that led to the use of a form other than the statutorily provided statement of form. We know this became a big issue just when the election was declared. Also, they are calling for an ascertainment of the quantity of ballot papers printed and the discovery of excess ballot papers at InnoLink printing press. They are also inquiring into the allegation that the Electoral Commission introduced ballot papers that were printed and bore the stamp of the Commission in the system, specifically in the Ashanti region. They also want to inquire into the manner in which the collation of the electoral results was carried out by officers of the EC, leading to multiple declaration of results in the various constituencies. And they are also pushing this electoral disturbances issue at Ablekuma Central, Kaswa, Odododiodo, Sefirioso, Techiman South, and other such places. They also want to verify the claim by the EC that it saved the nation about $90 million and that the 2020 elections were the least costly of all the previous elections held in the country, and also to investigate the alleged procurement breaches in the TAILS contract for the biometric verification devices. You know, this came up even before the election. The NDC minority is not giving up on that. And then finally, to make consequential recommendations for the constitution of the House within 2 months, Evan.
This is a tall, thorough list there. Here is Kofi Adams, MP for Boem, one of those who penned the signature to this motion, justifying their decision.
It's for us to raise issues as to what was brought before Parliament in the form of a bill for constitutional instrument to be passed, which was laid before Parliament. That's the CI 127, which was passed and gave clear indications as to what should happen when and how, the format in which it should happen. We observed on the ground, after training agents and persons, that this is going to be the structure, this is going to be the process, this is going to be what will be happening, to be fed with a different schedule and a different form to be used on the day of election. So it demands that a proper investigation is done on that one. 2, the Electoral Commission declared and kept changing results not once, not twice, not thrice, but about 5 times. And it demands that we probe into this.
But that part was before the Supreme Court.
The court was
within its right to have done that.
That is the Supreme Court speaking. This is Parliament. This is Parliament. We are independent of the judiciary. We want to go into the matters so that tomorrow we don't have a repeat of that situation. Can you imagine if this had happened in another country? Or it had happened possibly with a flag bearer that has a certain violent orientation, that results is declared, then it keeps changing and changing and changing. Regional coalitions keep changing and changing. You can't tell what will happen. And therefore, we must not sit down and just say that, oh, it happened and there was nothing untoward. The response was not bad. The response was not negative. And so we should just leave it like that. No. As an institution, we are supposed to help our democracy to grow. We are supposed to help institutions to function effectively. That is why the Electoral Commission, when it develops its processes leading to an election, is supposed to lay that before Parliament for it to become law.
Right.
And when you do so, you don't go and do something to the contrary.
Right. If you look at your motion, look at point IV, inquire into allegation that the Electoral Commission introduced ballot papers that were printed and bore the stamp of the commission into the system in the Ashanti region. Where from this an allegation that is being made against the EC?
Well, it happened, and there are video evidence to that. And so the evidence will be provided. It is for the EC to come and tell us how that happened. If they didn't, what was their investigation? What report did they submit? How did a private person secure the insignia of EC to be able to print those ballot papers and thumbprint them, and why it happened only in Ashanti region?
I mean, and Kweku, from everything I've heard, there is strong opposition from the majority side to this bipartisan committee being formed.
Well, speaking for the majority, Honorable Atatia, MP for Ebuako South, said this is dead on arrival. This is a fishing expedition. This is the NDC's attempt to try and re-argue the case they lost before the Supreme Court, and they are going to oppose it every step of the way. Let's listen to him.
About faith, because at the end of the day, they went to the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court. They had the best of opportunity to adduce evidence to prove their case. They never did that. Now that they have been sort of disgraced by their act, they believe that they can use the princes of Parliament and the powers of Parliament to do what they couldn't do in the Supreme Court. It is even in contempt of the Supreme Court. And also, it is very important that you can never use the powers of Parliament to do any fishing expedition. You understand? Where we are in this democracy, the job of the EC is concluded. And if you couldn't fall the EC in the Supreme Court, it is too late in the day to try and use parliamentary tactics, to ruffle feathers and open old wounds.
Well, let's stay in Parliament. Let's bring in Samuel Atacha, who is the Member of Parliament for Ebuako South. He's a lawyer himself. Mr. Atacha, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Yes, my pleasure.
As far as the Electoral Commission goes, I wonder why you're opposed to this bipartisan committee. Every election needs to be improved ahead of the next one. What's wrong with having a bipartisan committee that will review the processes of the commission?
Well, the Parliament of Ghana is not supposed to second guess the work of Electoral Commission. Let's get in mind. You see, the Parliament is not an extension of the EC. If Parliament has serious input into the work of the EC, it will be ferried to EC like an opinion or advice. It is also equal and independent body. But what is very bad about this is that, you see, the NDC has had a very, very, very bad experience in the Supreme Court, where they made the allegation that even the presidential elections was wrong. And then what was worse, they couldn't lead a shred of evidence to back their case. And because of that, they have this bad blood against EC. There's no dispute about it. Some of these things, when you ignore the antecedents, you cannot understand why they're on this kind of fishing expedition. Now, for my part, it is too late in the day to use the powers of Parliament to sort of second guess EC. If you really believe that something very untoward happened, you can go to court. If they have not laid the proper rules before you and the rest of you know what to do. But to say, let's have a bipartisan committee, another extension of the course of this land, in a very funny guise to try and go into the affairs of EC, it's most unfortunate. you lead Parliament to embark on some waywardness which is not permitted by law.
But Mr. Thatcher, even the EC admits elections were not perfect. In fact, you can't have a perfect election. It's the reason why after each election there is a need for a review. Parliament, as a representative of the people, can inquire into the process with the purpose of just improving the processes and procedures for the next elections. You disagree with that?
It's not Parliament that wants to improve the system. It's the loser, you see, who believes that let's use, the powers of Parliament to embarrass EC. That's all you should see to.
But this is a bipartisan committee they're proposing, so you have members.
It's bipartisan. It's like the reason why they know that they would want to talk about a bipartisan arrangement is to cover up their mischief. That's why they want this bipartisan thing. But I'm saying that what kind of ideas you have for EC that you can't ferry into EC without using parliamentary processes? If you think you have the best way of conducting elections in this country, do a paper and send it to EC. Yes. I don't see why anybody believes that, when we're in Parliament, you can even second guess an institution which is supposed to be independent.
But Parliament definitely has supervisory jurisdiction over the EC. I mean, there's a reason why the EC appeared before.
Parliament has no supervisory jurisdiction over EC, I'm afraid.
Parliament does not?
The course of this country that has supervisory jurisdiction over an independent body. You see? So the mistakes of EC will be corrected by the courts. When people pray in aid, if you like, certiorari or what they call judicial review to pry into some of these things you are talking about in order to improve the process of EC. And also those who had the end of EC's misdeeds, like the members of Parliament. The members of Parliament in Asante, I've already spoken to you about some foul, printed material that went in their disfavor, and therefore they wanted the court to go into these elections. The NDC members of Parliament or the candidates, NDC candidates, they are all quiet. Why are you now coming to say so that there's somebody printed all manner of things? Where are your people when all these things were going, and why are you now coming? So I believe that this is a Trojan horse, and the real intentions are clear. NDC is very peeved with the work of EC because they didn't get what they wanted, and they want to use Parliament to sort of have a good face to come and embarrass EC. I don't think it should be encouraged.
We've seen the Electoral Commission chairperson and her, lieutenants and deputies appear before Parliament a number of occasions, either to justify their budget or to answer questions. Parliament definitely has that power, does it not? I mean, indeed, if it wants to inquire into issues.
Parliament cannot micromanage how EC works. Parliament can only deal with the budget of EC and get it approved. You see? So when the monies are given to them, then they begin to work. But Parliament is supposed to tell EC, this is where you should go, this is what you should do, this is a constituency you should create, do this, do that. Parliament is not an extension of EC, I'm afraid. And we should get that extension very clear. The fact that you approve the budget of the judiciary doesn't mean that you can tell the judges that rule this way, go this way, let this party loose, place. We shouldn't set democracy upside down. And Parliament hasn't got all the powers that people think we have. It's not true.
Since elections, were you happy, though, with the conduct of the elections in its totality?
Well, I was very much pleased with the outcome of the elections. Those who were displeased, the Supreme Court at least confirmed my position that they were on a fishing expedition. You see, what happened, the last challenge of the presidential election in the Supreme Court was a huge embarrassment to those who sent the matter to the Supreme Court. If you measure this against the Bawumia experience, he was trying to prove his case with a pink sheet, Mr. Pink Sheet. So they went there empty-handed and expected to win. You don't run the affairs of state like that. You lose credibility, and now you can't overhaul your mess using the parliamentary powers. That is not the work of Parliament.
Do I hear you saying that this now has been filed? This will not get the support of the majority side?
Certainly. How can we lend credibility to, with a greater respect, this bad faith of a mission? And I'm told where the bad faith is coming from. EC was not kind to us during the elections. We went to the Supreme Court. We were rubbish. Let's pay them back in a funny way and use parliamentary power to micromanage EC. It's clearly unconstitutional. Yes. I'm telling you that if you care to look at the law properly, we cannot tell EC how it runs its business in the name of Parliament. And that is unfortunate. And when EC is wayward, any Ghanaian can go to court and seek a judicial review that this independent body has flouted the law, X or Y, and to the extent of the violation of the law, the court should correct that error. That is what judicial review is about. But you can't sit down there as another arm of government trying to pry into the business of EC because the outcome of some election was not palatable to you. That is very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate.
Mr. Thatcher, stay with me. I want to bring in Mr. Brampa, Programs Manager at the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, and also with CODEO, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. Mr. Brampa, I mean, do you agree with the view that Parliament isn't the appropriate body to review the processes the EC adopted in the 2020 elections?
Good evening, Evans. In fact, when I read the sheet he sent to me, I was wondering the motive for calling for the bipartisan committee in Parliament to go through same issues that were presented before the Supreme Court, of which the Supreme Court aptly adjudicated. So I was wondering the motive. Secondly, by our electoral laws, we have a limit of days after elections of which petitions against the electoral results could be filed. So weighing from these angles, I don't actually know. Probably, or maybe if the committee is set up to go through some of these allegations so as to recommend reforms. For that, I will understand, because even independent organizations, civil society organizations like CODEO, we had our post-elections evaluation and we came up with some recommendations. I repeat, recommendations to the Electoral Commission if they want to take it up to get advice. When you read the European Union Election Observation Mission, they have documented about 4 or 5 recommendations, including asking the Electoral Commission to try and paste polling station and constituency collation results at their website in time, so that even people who want to file petitions against the results will come from a base of certified results pasted and seen by everybody. They are recommending a reduction of... So anybody at all, media can sit up, do analysis of their monitoring and give recommendations, but we can never investigate the Electoral Commission. I don't know where that mandate is coming from. So when I read the petition, I told myself, are these not the same points that were taken to court and the Supreme Court dealt with it? Are these not the same points that we did not even have evidence to support? So what will be the credibility, what will be the essence of going through the same thing that the Supreme Court of the land have already adjudicated? So that's my point. But Parliament, I don't think. Probably you need to call more lawyers. Well, somebody may say, my brother Atta is an MPP, so he's speaking from biased point of view. You need to call more lawyers for him to educate us. But I don't think Parliament has the power to investigate the Electoral Commission.
I mean, thankfully, Kofi Adams is one of those members of Parliament who penned the signature to this, motion that has now been filed. Mr. Adams, what really is the purpose of this motion that has been filed? What's the end game? What do you want to achieve with this?
Well, the end game is that all the things that were done wrongly, some of them constitutionally wrong, and some of them operationally wrong, should not repeat themselves in any other elections in this country. And therefore, it is very important that we go into such matters and probe and make sure that a far-reaching recommendation is made.
So your aim is to reform?
Sure, it will result in some form of reforms. It will result in reforms.
But the party you represent put together a document and submitted it to the Electoral Commission already.
Well, it doesn't stop a state institution like Parliament, which is an arm of government, from going into such matters. The fact that the party has put proposal and submitted same to Electoral Commission doesn't stop Parliament from going ahead to do its work. This is Parliament and members of Parliament who are inviting the legislature to do its work. We approve the laws. The Electoral Commission put together recommendations from various institutions, submitted to Parliament, and that became CI 127. The Electoral Commission, in applying the CI 127, decided to do otherwise. They did something different from what was approved by the House. And that very House says that we think a committee should be formed to go into why, for example, those changes from what has been advertised, approved by the House, that we go to the field and on the 7th of December 2020, you find a different schedule, you find a different form being used for resource coalition purposes. That why was some already printed ballot material bearing the insignia of the Electoral Commission be out there and in a particular region? What has been the investigations? Who is responsible? Why print excess ballot papers that was not known to the reps of political parties that were witnessing, or at least there to observe the processes until a member of the NDC found them? So these are matters that we really have to go into. Of course, the issue of contracts that were awarded to Tails and the rest, as far as the acquisition of the biometric verification devices is concerned for the 2020 election, we have to go into all those things. And of course, issues of acts of violence that happened within the control zones of the Electoral Commission, i.e., sometimes collation centers, some voting centers, and what have you. The Electoral Commission would have to come and answer through a process. And these were not things that when I heard people say Supreme Court went into the election petitions, these were not things that the Supreme Court went into. They did not do that.
I mean, Mr. Thatcher, so you've had the argument that this has been filed in pursuit of reforms, electoral reforms. Do you accept that?
Yes, when you want to reform or proffer opinion or give recommendation, you do a paper. There's nobody who can dictate to EC how that is business. Please, with the greatest of respect. He's talking about even constitutional violations and administrative misbehaviors. These are all matters that the court can handle, and we should bear that in mind. So if there's a constitutional infraction on the part of EC, it's not for Parliament to come and sort of adjudicate on it. Do you know what has happened? It's like after a football match, one of the players want to hold the referee to come and explain how he did the refereeing, and that is what they want to do. You are interested in the outcome of the election. How can you at the same time sit in judgment over the EC? You see, the embarrassment is so huge. You can't do that. If there is anything EC has done and it's got to do with procurement, what is the role of the Auditor General? The Auditor General is there to look at all procurement processes, look at the financial irregularities, and indict EC. You see, it's after the Auditor General has finished his work that they will bring the report to Parliament. The Parliament will interrogate whatever entity had messed up with the law. So all these processes are so obvious. I'm particularly shocked. Why do you want to sit in judgment over the EC? And because it is going to be so embarrassing, you want to give some cosmetics to it. Oh, let's try and get it bipartisan. Which party lends the support to this kind of fishing expedition?
Mr. Adams, you filed this. Has the Speaker admitted this motion?
Yes, the Speaker has admitted. That's why it's been published.
Oh, he has admitted.
Let me tell Honorable Atachia that I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee, and I'm privileged to be able to look into the Auditor General's reports. The Auditor General only looks into what he wants to look into. If the Auditor General decides not to look into certain things, it will not come to Parliament. So this whole suggestion, most times, when you raise issues, they say, wait for Auditor General to bring a report, then you go into it. The Auditor General looks into what he wants to look into.
But the Parliament is not the Auditor General, my dear brother.
He doesn't look into everything.
From your
and so
perspective,
we cannot be waiting
it's
for
so
the
important.
General. God knows when.
So they should go and to EC affairs.
The Honorable Atachia knows that we are still now considering even the 2018 reports in 2022.
It
so
doesn't stop you
and waiting, go into another
why
election.
don't you send your evidence
for
to the
Auditor General's
and
report,
make it an
2020
emergency?
report that will come in 2016. That will come in maybe 2026 or 2025.
Now, if you think this is an emergency situation for you, why don't you carry your evidence to the Auditor General? Auditor General to do an emergency work and bring it to Parliament.
That even
why don't you do that?
Should not have more than 2 months
to do the work.
To work within 2 months, bring their report, which will help.
But very finally, Ms. Adams, because of time. So now that it has been admitted, it has to be debated on the floor, right?
Sure, it will be debated on the floor.
Now you already know that you're not going to get support from the majority. This is dead on arrival.
Well, at the time we filed it, there were quite some members of the majority group that were in support of it because they themselves were embarrassed about some of the things that happened. And they think that as a parliament, we should vote.
Why didn't they sponsor the motion?
Repeat itself because tomorrow it could be them also.
No, the sponsors of the motion are not MPP members of parliament. So how would they support it? How would they have a premonition of
Ms. Adams, will you push, if it comes to it, for a secret ballot on whether or not this is to be adopted?
Well, motions are not normally put through secret balloting. Usually, voice votes. Somebody challenge,
and then you go to a division.
Somebody challenge, then you go to division. The Constitution makes provision for conditions under which you do secret ballot.
Yeah.
Voting somebody into office or voting somebody out of.
So, but I get the impression that you're going to push this all the way on the floor.
We are going to push it all the way.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Adams, for your time here on Newsnight. Thank you, Mr. Abrampa, for your thoughts on this also. Thank you, Mr. Tachia, too, as Parliament is set to debate this motion that may form a bipartisan committee to review the Electoral Commission's processes for the 2020 elections.
Sweetheart, give me proper breakfast. Later, give me lunch. And for dinner, make it a buffet.
My one and only. You know what? Just let me receive the alert. And I will sort you out. Sharp! You just add the charges, Keke.
For here, never pay for transfer charges. Vodafone Cash still has no transfer charges from Vodafone Cash to all networks. You don't have Vodafone Cash? What the cash? Yes! You don't have to pay more on Vodafone Cash. Switch now to the correct network and save. Only e-levy applies. Dial *110# to send money now. Vodafone.
At Enterprise Life, it's possible to live your best life. Ladies, enjoy cover for your lifestyle with Bloom. Life insurance for today's woman. Families, let's safeguard your well-being with a family income security plan because family matters. And for you, live freely with our funeral finance plan unlimited with no restrictions, no limits as you cover your loved ones and yourself. WhatsApp us on 0554 001 924 or call 0307 084 444 for your solution.
You for dream big. Dream big with us.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. In the next 60 minutes.
Gay and lesbian activists intensify public advocacy with billboards and Facebook groups. As in Parliament, there is a debate now over what appears to be a delay in the consideration of the anti-LGBTQ bill.
So if you've not brought your reports, you don't come and accuse the House that that bill is delaying and that the business leadership should do something about it. With the greatest respect, let's get a committee to report.
Details as chairman of the committee working on the bill insists there is no delay.
And we stay in Parliament, where WAS Central MP alleges serious encroachment by foreign nationals on lands belonging to Ghana because the Boundary Commission lacks the finances and logistics to restrict movement.
The intrusion by other countries, and you have Malians, people from Cote d'Ivoire and other places inhabiting areas in Ghana without proper control.
Well, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister has been refuting these claims.
The Commission has undertaken a number of initiatives to delineate our boundaries with our neighbors. This includes the reinitiation of negotiations with Togo on the long-standing maritime dispute between Ghana and Togo.
And there was drama as the Lands and Natural Resources Minister was forced to withdraw comments he made on the floor.
Significantly, the Member of Parliament for Pristia Univali, who is asked this question, has not contributed to this fund.
That's not a fact. It is none of your business to talk about the MP not contributing into the fund when you are ignorant completely about the things that he has done.
And more on that also tonight. Shraj and the Ghana Integrity Initiative pile pressure on government, condemning delay in inauguration of the board of the special prosecutor, as a question if the delay has been orchestrated to frustrate the special prosecutor.
I mean, I just want to be very straight on this. It's fatal. There's no reason why the board is not sworn in. We submitted the names long ago.
Is it the case that some of these impediments are put in the way to thwart the work of the person who has been appointed?
And in business, the Ghana Cedi posts some sustained stability against the dollar after 2 weeks of depreciation. We'll find out whether there's a sign that the challenges are over.
In sports, Thomas Partey wants to see international players of Ghana descent commit to the Black Stars ahead of this year's World Cup in Qatar.
And tonight, the Joy News Living Standard series is in your homes, where we are learning that cooking is now a difficulty due to the high cost of liquefied petroleum gas. And LPG marketers fear the worst if government refuses to scrap taxes on the commodity.
Consumption is rather declining, and if prices, nothing is done about price, and it's kept at this level. Our projection is that by the end of the year, we will be consuming just around 20,000 metric tons a month.
We have that and more in tonight's edition of News Night. You may want to join us with your thoughts and comments. It's via WhatsApp 05511119997. I am MFA Paul.
And my name is Evans Mensah. We start tonight with news that gay and lesbian activists in Ghana are intensifying their public advocacy, even as Parliament is being accused of delaying in considering and passing the anti-LGBTQ bill. Now, the concern is now growing, and there's a debate now on the floor on that particular issue. Advocacy and visibility in the country as the community commemorates its Pride Month. I'm talking about the gay and lesbian community, which is observed in June every year. In Parliament, sponsors of the anti-gay bill are complaining and lamenting what they describe as delay in the consideration of the bill.
Well, co-sponsor of the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family bills, and MP for Whole West, Emmanuel Bejra, says the bill before the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee has found no space on the order papers of Parliament and is demanding answers from the leadership.
It was referred to a committee of legal, constitutional and parliamentary affairs. Since then, we've not heard anything. And Mr. Speaker, according to our standing orders. So, Mr. Speaker, 8 of us brought a private member's bill to this House called the Ghanaian Family Rights Bill. And that bill has been with the committee since last year, and we've not heard anything. Mr. Speaker, since we resumed, we've not even seen any indication as to when this bill will be taken. And we all know that the standing orders clearly states that a bill in the committee should not go beyond 3 months. We want to find out from the leader when this bill will be taken at the second reading and the consideration for the bill to be passed. Thank you.
Well, that's the Bedra MP there. Emmanuel Bedra is the Whole West MP, I beg your pardon. Well, the Deputy Minority Whip, Ahmed Ibrahim, says the delay in considering the bill is an embarrassment to the House. According to the Banda MP, some people question the ability of Parliament to consider the bill, given its sensitive nature, and the undue delay of the progression of the bill proves those people are right.
March this year, meaning from last year, by March this year, the committee will be able to exhaust the 150 petitions, because if they were to consider 10 a week, it means they needed 15 weeks. Mr. Speaker, we went on recess for about 2 months, and when the question was asked, that was at the beginning of the last sitting. So the 15 weeks excuse that was given by the Deputy Majority Leader who presented the business statement on that fateful day, the 15 weeks period were to elapse as at 30th or 31st March 2022. Mr. Speaker, as I speak today, we are in June. So if you gave an excuse and bought time for 15 weeks, the 15 weeks have elapsed. And as we are speaking today, the ranking member on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Bernard Anyafo, is here. But the chairman for Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Enyimedu, I cannot see him here. So if you say leadership, I don't think this is a matter of leadership. If the committee is faced with, the chairman is facing challenges, so long as that bill is concerned, Mr. Speaker, he must let the whole country know. But we can't keep the country at a suspense with the bill, which we gave excuse that by 31st March we will be able to pass. Now we are in June, nothing is said. In Parliament, this is the beginning of a meeting. At the beginning of a meeting like this, Mr. business is light. Assuming the committee had presented a report to the plenary, the Speaker, I believe this House would have been able to use just 1 week or 2 weeks to be able to consider this bill. Many were those who were saying that they can swear heavy and earth that this Parliament was not going to consider this bill. So clearly, Mr. Speaker, we are proving them right.
Well, and that's the debates that ensued in Parliament earlier. Well, responding to the concerns of the Banda MP, Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin criticised the Whole West MP and accused him of playing to the gallery. According to him, the leadership of Parliament cannot act until the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee concludes its public deliberation.
Mr. Speaker, Ghanaian Family Rights Bill, the colleague who raised it knows that it has received countless memoranda and there have been hearings. I believe that you would have to activate the process through the committee, because as a house or as a business committee, we cannot program a committee to bring a report when the committee has not brought its report to us. You see, don't let us do blame game or do certain things for the optics and create a wrong impression about ourselves. Parliament works first at the committee level and second plenary. We have made a referral to a committee made up of both members, majority and minority. So if you've not brought your report, you don't come and accuse the House that that bill is delaying and that the business leadership should do something about it. With the greatest respect, let's get a committee to report, and I believe that would answer it.
So that's Alexander Afenyo-Markin in Parliament today. We'll be hearing from the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee and a co-sponsor of the bill, Sam George, shortly. But first, Max Olagba joins me in the studio with a bit more on what else is happening on this matter whilst Parliament is debating whether there's a delay or not. Maxwell, you've been doing your own checks to verify claims of what appears to be seeming boldness from advocates and of the LGBTQ community who have been more visible, taking their campaign public.
So we've seen quite a number of groups
on Facebook, for instance. So we have Lesbians Ghana, we have Ghana Gay Group, we have the Tema Ghana Gays Only, LGBT plus Rights Ghana, Ghana Gays. But prominent among all that we saw on Facebook is LGBT, plus Rights Ghana. They seem to be active, on Facebook. In fact, the last time they held a conversation was 2 days ago, and a conversation dubbed the Color Dialogues 2022, and it's actually in commemoration of Pride Month. In fact, they shared a link to that conversation, and they had quite a number of LGBTQI persons coming out to come and share their experiences about what they're going through as LGBTQI persons.
There's something that is controlling everything in this world, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. So you need to know that first, God loves you. Whatever thing you believe in loves you. And the next thing you also need to know that is you have a gift. Whether you are LGBT plus or you are straight, or so far as you are a human being and you have a soul inside of you, not your physical body, a soul inside of you, then you have a purpose on this earth. When it comes to, don't allow your sexuality limit you. Because personally, with my experience I've experienced so much homophobic from the church I'm coming from. I came from a very strict Christian family. At the end of the day, I lock myself out in the room, I cry, I pray, I fast, I do everything. Like, I still don't change. I rather become more pure. So, well, the answer, of course, the reply I got from my fasting and prayers was the gift to speak in tongues.
So this was a conversation that was done live on Facebook, and subsequently curated on one of the Facebook groups.
Yes, that's the LGBT plus Rights Ghana, which seem to be very active, on Facebook. It has it has close to 7,000 likes actually on Facebook. It has contacts that you can reach out to in order to get to the members in case you want to interact with them or anything. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is a bit more visible, reaching out through social media to whoever want to watch and listen. But they also provide you with links to reach out for anybody who wants to reach out and be part of the group. And you try to test that.
Yes, we try to test that, and in fact, we asked them. I put a question to one of the administrators of one of the groups, and we asked about the claims about the seeming visibility, now. And his answer was that, quote, he said, Pride Month is an opportunity to peacefully protest and raise awareness on the current challenges facing the LGBT plus community, and usually a lot of events are held all over the world to commemorate the month. So we are active now because of this, unquote. Yeah.
So that's what we've also seen recently. Billboards coming up, and there's a lot of criticism about the inactivity of authorities as far as that is concerned. But thank you. As you've seen this now very visible, and it doesn't appear that these groups have been there for long. On Facebook in particular, very young, nascent Facebook groups that have been formed fairly recently, obviously to mobilize support and draw attention to the causes of LGBTQ members.
Well, let's bring in the founder and director of LGBTQ plus Rights Ghana, Alex Kofi Donko. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsnight. For those of us who are a bit ignorant about what it is that you're doing so far, tell me, what really is Pride Month?
Sorry, Elisa, can you come again with a question?
I'm asking what really Pride Month is all about.
All right. So Pride Month is usually celebrated in June, and it is in commemoration of the struggle of the LGBTQ community. And this actually started in a place like New York, Stonewall, where the police and some people were kicking against the rights of LGBTQ persons, and then the community resisted against the police brutality and then the mistreatment that was being meted out towards people who were known or perceived to be LGBTQ persons. And this happened in Stonewall in New York, and that birthed the Pride Month for June.
And I see that you're replicating same here in Ghana, especially we've seen a lot of activity on social media. At least I've been monitoring day 4 of the activity. So throughout the month, especially let's talk about Ghana. What exactly are you doing to commemorate the month?
Well, so the June, what is Pride Month, it's a global celebration of LGBTQ rights. So it is not limited to just the U.S. alone, but across countries all over the world celebrate this month. And as LGBTQ persons, we are connected one way or the other as a global movement. And so the celebration also means that in Ghana, we don't fall short of that, but it also creates that opportunity to create awareness on the struggles of the LGBTQ persons, create conversation and spaces to really make informed decisions about some of the challenges that we go through as a community.
So is it the case that you're seeking to recruit persons into your fold at a time where our parliament is looking at a bill that is before it so far? There's been talk about the delay in its progression, which we'll get into. But is it a form of recruiting people into your fold?
No, the community has never been interested in recruiting anybody into our fold. LGBTQ persons are people who are equal Ghanaians and are born on daily basis. People who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex persons, these people are equal Ghanaians. And so there is no way that you're interested whatsoever in recruiting people. Once you identify as an LGBTQ person, then this space is open and available to you to reach out for the services that we provide as a community. And that is what the space is meant for, and then the conversation and every other thing that happens there is meant for. So when one space recruits, it's quite unfortunate that somebody would say that, because like your colleague rightfully mentioned, everything we do as a community is very open and very visible, and it is mostly on our social media platforms. So one would ask themselves, what is it that we are doing as a community that is so incriminating that people would want to come and attack or, challenge it or even raise some form of fear around it. Everything that you need to know as a community or as us as a community is on our various social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You will see it there. So, well, I would admonish every Ghanaian to go there and go and check it out. And if you see or find anything incriminating, come back and tell us.
I mean, but Lonko, I mean, historically, gay and lesbians in Ghana have been very private, operated almost in the shadows. Fair to say that in the last, few years, or certainly last few months, you become a bit more open and visible.
Yeah,
taking your case to the Ghanaian public.
Sexual activity between two consenting adults, it has always been private, right? My question is, have you ever heard that any gay or lesbian is on the street having sex or have had sex on the street whatsoever? No, it is private. And so are heterosexual sexual relationships. It's always private. Now, what we are calling and talking about or protecting about is the inhumane treatment that is being meted out to us based on people's perceived or known sexual orientation. And we've said this time without number that even in 2018, the Human Rights Watch documented abuses that people who are known or perceived to be LGBTQ persons go through. Up till now, nobody has had or has asked questions about it. Even the media was silent about it, right? These are the issues that we keep raising, that on daily basis we are being attacked, we are being incredibly discriminated against in the hospital, at the police station, in courts, in various homes, in churches, and all these strong institutions that exist within our society.
So I guess what we're seeing now is
on the increase, and that is what we are raising awareness on. And
so that's the point. So I guess what you're doing now is taking the advocacy into your own hands to raise these issues through social media and other platforms that you're doing.
Well, it is no different from other struggles. When you look at the women's rights, when you look at even the slave rights and all these other rights, it took the people themselves to push against or resist against the oppression that was being meted out to them, and that resulted in the freedom of these various struggles.
We've also seen some billboards in town. I mean, is your group behind this?
Sorry, come again.
We've also seen some billboards in town talking about freedom. Is your group behind this?
Well, that's obvious, yes. We put out this billboard, and this billboard has a message. And I think the focus should be on the message that was put out on the billboard. So if people are really interested in having the conversation, then how about we talk about the message that we put it out there? What is incriminating about this message so much so that it needs to cause uproar within the country? And that is the question that we need as a community, as a country, to continuously ask ourselves. That a message that talks about love, tolerance, acceptance is more incriminating than the corruption, the misuse of state funds and all the other things. Why are people not angry about that? But then the message that talks about love is what people are angry about.
Well, that's Kofi Donko there. He's the founder and director of LGBTQ Plus Rights Ghana, and I'm sure you've seen these billboards in town as well. But let's find out the progress of this particular bill. And we have Ningo Prampram MP and a sponsor of the bill, Sam George, also the chairman of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is also with us, Kwame Yumedu. We are grateful for your time, gentlemen, here on News Time. But let me start with you, Mr. Sam George. You've heard Kofi Donko, and I'm sure you've monitored what we've seen on social media so far, amongst others, billboard. We know that increased visibility and advocacy is one of the aspects that this bill is expected to actually cure. But first, though, what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far when it comes to Pride Month?
A very good evening to your listeners. Let me say that if the bill sees the light of day, which I believe it will, in the shape and form in which we have proposed it, you will be liable for prosecution because you spent the last 10 minutes aiding the advocacy of a criminal act in Ghana. You have allowed Mr. Donko room to propagate his vile and vicious agenda of corrupting the culture and traditions of our country. And so be guided about the kinds of platforms that you offer to individuals whose activities are deemed to be against the laws of our land, even as we speak today.
That is
now,
if,
the next point I would
if
make,
the law is enacted.
Well, today homosexuality is an illegality in Ghana. And so you would not tell me that you would grant an interview to the group that carried out the heinous killings on religious grounds in Ondo State for them to explain the reasons and rationale behind why they did that. But you just gave him 10 minutes of prime time to propagate this kind of viciousness. But like I said, it's a learning curve for all of us, and I need to point that out to you.
Yeah, I mean, but Sam Job, you're journalists. We ask questions. I mean, their activities is subject of a parliamentary bill. We're asking questions of what they do and how they do it. I mean, that's what we do as journalists.
Pride Month and what their programs are is propagation. Fair and simple. I'm putting it to you. It's propagation of what they do. It is not the business of your media house to be propagating what Pride Month is about, except you are pushing an agenda. And I need to point that out to you forcefully.
Yeah, but we ask questions, Sam George. You are here to talk about the bill, and we are going to ask the same questions. Yes, you have a bill in the floor. It doesn't stop us from doing what we do always. Ask a question about what we've seen on social media that we want to interrogate. That certainly is what journalists do. You may have issues about that, but that should not stop us from asking our questions. I mean, but let's come to the issue that was on the floor today about the delay. What's happening with the bill?
You have the chairman of the committee on the line. I heard you say you should ask him why he's held up the bill for this long. I mean, Parliament has been on recess for this long. We are done with the public hearings. We're supposed to have gone into the clause-by-clause consideration. The chairman should be telling us why his members have asked him to call meetings on the bill. He's called meetings on other bills and has not tabled this bill. And that's why the matter was raised on the floor of the House today. The chairman has questions to answer. Unfortunately, when the issue was raised on the floor, he wasn't there. But if you have him on the line, ask my colleague, my senior in Parliament, Honorable Kwame Ibedu, why as chairman of the committee, the bill seems to be stalling.
Well, thankfully, he's with us on the line. Mr. Yumedu, tell us, what really is holding up the bill?
Nothing is holding the bill. I'm surprised that my colleague, the member of Parliament, is giving an impression that somebody somewhere is delaying the bill. Let me take listeners through before the introduction of the bill, people, or immediately after the introduction, people thought that this bill will be dealt with probably within the next 3 days or 1 week. Parliamentary process doesn't work like that. We had about 176 petitions, and we had to group them and listen to each and every one of them. Sometimes we could spend the whole day and got up beyond 7 p.m. and whatnot. We finished with the public hearings. Now we are doing in camera. Last week, I'm surprised that the member that raised the issue that the bill is being delayed, there was a meeting in camera just last week, and that honorable member sat in that meeting. He sat through the meeting, even though as the sponsor of the bill, he was not supposed to be there. I had allowed them always to be present if they want to be, because they are members of parliament. So we are on the process. People should not forget the fact that we are at the first bill. The bill was introduced, the first reading. The bill was introduced and then had been referred to the committee. It is when the committee has finished this job that we go back to the plenary, and then we do the second reading, and then we can do the consideration stage, which would be the clause by clause consideration. We are on the process. And it doesn't mean also that because there is this bill before us, we must stop other bills and concentrate on this one alone. Each and every bill before the committee will be given equal attention.
Well, in giving equal attention also, this is also a bill of public interest, many have said. In terms of timelines, exactly, because we started with a lot of, aggression amongst others, but now it looks like it's we cannot see much when it comes to this. Can you give us any timelines, especially when it comes to this particular bill? I know you're still hearing.
It will be very difficult to.
Why
it
so?
will be very difficult to give a timeline.
Why so?
MFR, is it possible I come in here?
Just a minute, Mr. Sam George.
Okay.
You were finishing that. You're telling me why it's difficult to give me timelines.
Yes, because there are a lot of things that go into bill making. Like I said, we have to go through the 3 stages of the readings. We have to do the consideration stage before it is passed. So I cannot determine that.
How many more persons do you have to hear?
Now,
how many more persons or institutions do you have to hear?
Sorry?
I'm asking how many more institutions or persons you have to hear before we progress from the public hearing stage.
I may have to defer to the clerks to actually give us because sometimes they group them. We are finished with the public hearing, so now we don't expect the cameras there. And then we've done one meeting just last week. And then we will have to meet as a committee and plan subsequent ones.
Do you think that we've attached a lot more importance to this particular bill if we
more
have to assess
than any other bill before the committee at present? More than any other bill. We have actually attached importance. We have actually sat more than necessary on any other bill before us.
In the life of this parliament, would you say that we may see the passage of this bill?
I said that's another way of saying that give me the timeline, and I cannot respond to that.
We're grateful. That's the chairman of the Constitution and Legal Affairs Committee. But stay, Mr. Sam George, you wanted to add something.
Yes, I mean let's be clear, and I have a lot of respect for Honorable Kwame Ayimedu. He makes reference to a meeting that my colleague sponsor, Honorable Emmanuel Obedra, sat through. I've had personal conversations with Honorable Kwame Ayimedu over this bill, and we have come to a conclusion at the committee that we were done with public hearings, because the memos may have come in over 170 memos, yes, but we are done with the public hearings. He made it clear that a group of practitioners had reached out to him
requesting that they wanted to have an in-camera hearing. In fact, many members on the committee opposed that position and said if they were proud of what they were doing, they should appear before the cameras and tell the Ghanaian people what their reasons for. Chairman insisted, and we deferred to his decision as chairman, for him to hold in-camera hearings. The meeting last week was not one of such in-camera hearings. He should stop misleading the public. It was a meeting at the request of the UN resident coordinator, country rep. That's a meeting that I am aware of. I didn't attend for my own personal reasons.
No. Let me come in
that
here.
was not an in-camera meeting with the individuals he told us were practitioners who he wanted to grant a meeting to. The question we are asking is why Parliament went on recess for almost 8 weeks. Members have been available for further work, either this in-camera meeting or for us to proceed to the clause-by-clause consideration. And that is being held up. That is the issue that is at stake. That is the issue that came on the floor of the House today. That members are ready to do the work. But members cannot constitute themselves into a committee and go and work if the chairman doesn't call for a meeting and table that as the agenda.
Okay, Mr. Sam George, let me bring in Mr. Anyimedu on
Let me make a correction.
So correct that. Is it the case that you went for that meeting at the behest of the UN?
What Honorable Sam George is saying is not correct. The meeting that we held last week was at the request of the PGA, Parliamentary Global Parliamentarians for Global Action, and they invited the UN residents at our consent. We consented to that, so they invited some people to come in person. But we did the meeting virtual, and it was one of the private meetings, the meetings in camera. It is one of them. At any rate, Honorable Sam George is not a member of the committee. He is sponsoring the bill. It doesn't make him a member of the committee. And what the committee decides, he is not part of it. So I'm surprised that he can actually cry more than the bereaved.
We'll leave it here, gentlemen. We are grateful for your time. Mr. Sam George, that's the clarification that has been given by the chairman. Accurate? You accept?
Sponsors of the bill is a member of the committee, Honorable Roxanne. And so he cannot assume that we don't know what's going on in the committee. And the fact that his members are demanding that he calls meetings on this bill and lets the process continue.
Okay, we'll leave it here, but we'll be following up on that. My colleague Kwekwa Asante is in Parliament and will be following up on that for us. You hear the chairman of the Constitution and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, Mr. Anyimedu Antwi, and of course, the sponsor of that bill, Ningo Prampram MP, Sam George.
Well, if you've been cooking like MFA has and been cooking at Deme recently, you'll notice that LPG prices, they've gone through the roof, and it's affecting, what people are using to cook. Nowadays, LPG marketers fear the worst if government refuses to scrap taxes on the commodity to bring down prices. Details as latest consumption figures show a significant drop in consumption of the commodity.
Consumption is rather declining, and if prices, nothing is done about price, and it's kept at this level. Our projection is that by the end of the year, we will be consuming just around 20,000 metric tons a month.
Well, we hit the market with our Living Standard series, which is back now as we get into people's homes and gauge what is happening with cooking in the midst of the high prices. George, what's in business?
Well, Evans, I don't know an MFL about working 4 days in a week. What do you make of that option?
We'll see. If we consider how UK is going, let's see.
Yeah, so some big firms in UK have begun a trial of working for 4 days a week to see how that will be worked out. We'll be looking at whether we can implement that in Ghana here. And the Ghana City posts some sustained stability against the US dollar after weeks of depreciation. But is it a sign that the recent challenges that are facing the local currency are over? We're getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, and Allianz Live.
Hey, my phone is broken.
We've all been here before. The moment when your heart literally stops beating and you see your entire social life and savings flash before your eyes. Yep.
Your phone just fell and you are frozen in fear, awaiting the post-mortem reports to find out just how badly your phone is damaged. But now, you no longer have to panic when your phone experiences liquid or accidental damage thanks to MTN Device Insurance.
Just install the MTN Device Insurance app, fill in the details and make payment, and experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your device is insured as you continue to enjoy the most amazing 4G Plus experience only on Ghana's fastest network. Visit mtndeviceinsurance.com or download the MTN Device Insurance app on Google Play or App Store and get your phone insured today with device insurance powered by MTN.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Committee 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
On Friday, 24 June 2022, Raven Consulting GH presents Africa Family Business Summit 2022 with a theme Building Resilience in Family Businesses for Continuity. Speakers for this year's summit include Mr. James Mwagi, Sir Sam Esunjuna, Dr. Russell Thackeray, Mrs. Esiri Adway, Mr. Theodore Albright, Mrs. Kate Kote Papafield, Dr. Moses Akwa, Miss Franca Maria Anda, and your convener, Mr. Dennis Ottain. Remember, the event is on Friday, 24 June 2022. Time, afternoon session 1 p.m. It's an executive workshop with Dr. Russell Thackeray. Evening session 6 p.m. Networking dinner and AFB conference. The venue is the Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, Accra. For details of participation and corporate packages, please contact 0509 732 535. Partners, ACCA, LaBianca Company Limited, Kempinski Hotel, Apex Human Consult, Other Events. Media partners, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy Business, Business and Financial Times. This event is powered by Raven Consulting GH.
Allianz, insurance since 1890. At Allianz Life Ghana, we have a wide range of life insurance packages to suit all pockets, from individuals, groups, associations, and businesses. We cover your employees, your funerals, pensions, children's education, and your future. Call us on 0302-267-892 or visit our website www.allianz-gh.com for more inquiries. Allianz Life, we secure your future.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Ghana cedi continue to post some marginal stability against the US dollar. After weeks of depreciation, it is coming after it suffered some losses over the past 3 weeks. We have more in this report.
The local currency since last week has been fairly stable against the US dollar. For some, this can be described as good news, looking at how the Ghana cedi had performed over the past 3 weeks. Some of the market analysts are linking it to improved dollar supply by the Bank of Ghana during the week under review. Some of these funds have gone to support bulk importers of petroleum products and other businesses. Market analysts are also linking the cedi's performance to strong demand for the cedi due to liquidity challenges for the local currency. This is because the recent macro-prudential measures and policy rate hike by the Bank of Ghana has been able to mobilize almost 7 billion cedis out of circulation over the last 3 months. Therefore, that has affected those who now need cedis to support their day-to-day transactions. That could be linked to those firms and individuals that locked most of their funds in dollars in anticipation of the cedi depreciating further against the dollar. The Bank of Ghana puts the Ghana cedi depreciation against the US dollar from January to May at a little over 15%.
And that is a Business Desk report. Well, if this trend should continue, then the stability could be sustained going forward. Based on the average quotes that some of the major commercial banks are offering to their retail clients, it would need 8 Ghana cedis to get $1 today. To other stories, and Newmont Gold Ghana has announced that it has successfully sold 3,500 ounces of gold to the Bank of Ghana under the central bank's deposit, that is, domestic gold purchasing program launched in June 2021. A statement from the company said that it went through the transaction with the central bank as part of its efforts to increase its gold reserves. But we become the first, they say they become the first mining company to respond to the central bank's novel initiative, which is a very significant milestone when it comes to building their reserves. So the Bank of Ghana building its reserves when it comes to gold in the country. Let's hear from the head of financial stability at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, at engagement with the Ghana Chamber of Mines, giving more details about this program.
I'm happy to inform you that since the inception of this program, the Bank of Ghana has purchased a total of 28,510 ounces of gold. Of this 23,680 has been purchased through an aggregator from one large mine, and 4,830 ounces has been purchased from 2 large mining firms. The total gold refined out of these purchases is 22,644 ounces. So already we have refined a large chunk of the Dory gold that we've bought. Currently, we have purchased an additional 5,865, which is in transit to be processed. As you can see, the domestic gold purchase program is progressing steadily. This year, we want to purchase 2,000 kilograms of gold.
Stephen Opata is head of financial markets at the Bank of Ghana. Now, some of the oil marketing companies have justified the recent increase in diesel prices at the pumps. The product should have been reduced marginally at the pumps from this weekend, but most of the oil firms have increased diesel by more than 3% per litre. But some of the oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that there are issues with product availability, which is indirectly driving up prices, which should have gone up. Now, some of them tell Joy Business that they sell the price at the service station based on what they are getting from the bulk oil distribution companies. Meanwhile, Shell and Gold have reviewed their prices of petroleum products at the pumps from this morning. Petrol is selling at 10 Ghana cedis, 11 pesos, and diesel is selling at 12 Ghana cedis, 20 pesos. This should mean that all the 3 major oil marketing companies have adjusted their prices at the pumps. And still on the industry, Express Gas, a leading Ghanaian LPG marketing company, has launched its LPG delivery innovative KG & Co. in their Farm Plains in Ghana. The gas station, which is the first of its kind in the Farm Plains district, is aimed at directly connecting gas users within the district in reference to this national LPG program distribution network. Now, big firms in UK have begun what could be described as the biggest 4-day week-to-work trial. Now, firms in the country are coming from banking, hospitality, and even animator studios. The move has been influenced by the recent COVID-19, which has stretched workers around the world. So, should we adopt this 4-day work week program in Ghana? That's the question I posed to labor expert Austin Game.
We've all been confronted with the situation we find ourselves in. We've been confronted already. Ghana is part of the global village, and already we have a problem of a very poor productivity issue. And so if we are going to work, to be very open to you, our management system capacity is very low. Our knowledge pack and skill development, I'm not talking about having people through any form of education, having knowledge about just something. But the truth is that we do not have that capacity. We have not developed that capacity.
Austin Game is a labor consultant. Let's get to the stock market. And if you look at the summary of end of May market activities, total value traded was around 607 million in terms of the value of trades that were happening. Year-to-date returns, if you have invested on the market, you might have seen your investment go down by 8.41%. And that's all for business on Newsnight. We look forward to working. It used to be 6 days in the week in the past, and it came down to 5. So
please, for journalists like us, we work 7 days a week. Just stop this. We don't know 6 days. We've been working,
including holidays.
Yeah. Please go. Thank you very much. We work 7 days a week, all the time.
Okay,
yes.
But if you move on and you're not
move
here
on.
again,
You want to?
No, you.
You betray your attention. Okay.
Well, let's talk about our living standards. Since we are talking about the number of days we want to work and all, marketers of the petroleum, liquefied petroleum, want taxes on the commodity scrapped to cushion consumers. Prices have increased astronomically in the last 3 months, making it difficult for consumers to buy. Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, says the consumption has dropped woefully, affecting their businesses. He blames the Russia-Ukraine war and the depreciation cedi, but says government has to quickly scrap the taxes. Before we hear from him, though, here's our living standard.
Almost 1.8.
It has really affected everybody. Actually, all of us know about the economy, as the economy is going. Tomorrow you go, everything has changed.
Scale no there. Face price 30, 40, 40. Until you maybe at 10, 15.
2 weeks ago, Deborah, a resident of Alajo, visited the gas station to buy 90 cedis worth of gas. Filling a 14.5 kg gas cylinder would cost her 180 cedis. But she could only afford half of that. The LPG has run out and she's here again.
If I want my cylinder full, I have to pay 180 cedis. Even the smallest size is going for about 80 cedis. But it didn't used to be so. It isn't easy at all.
This time, Deborah can only afford 50 cedis out of 180 cedis needed to fill her cylinder fully.
I would have wished to fill it fully, but I don't have enough money. The one we used at work cost us 250 cedis, and that even lasts a week. If I don't have money, I will opt for charcoal.
For her and others who have come to refill their cylinders, the price of LPG has become unbearably expensive and erratic. In the last month, the price of LPG has increased at least 3 times. Selvarius Akentuna, a supervisor at Trinity Gas,
like 14 kilos, someone will come and buy 50 cedis into a 14.5 container or cylinder. I mean, how? It's because of the price increase. The price is not stable. For instance, I think last month, the 14.5 was around 148 or so. Recently, it has gone to 152.
As of October last year, you could refill your cylinder for about 7 cedis 91 pesos per kilo. This means a 14.5 kg cylinder was costing a little over 114 Ghana cedis to fill. However, in March this year, the per kilo price of LPG saw a more than 23% rise. Further price fluctuations last month has worsened the situation. Pump attendant Maxwell explains why operations changed from the scale system to the pump system.
Scale no there. Face price 30, 40, 40. Unti mu maybe at 10 cedi and 15. And to border we near 40, 30, 30.
When we are operating the scale system, the prices were fixed. If it was 30, then 30. It could not be adjusted. But we had to adopt the pump system so those who cannot afford the increment can also buy.
Kesene 100. If you buy an abwa, any big a boy.
Sharing the cost of buying the commodity is a smart survival mode for the likes of Prince, a student at the Ghana Technology University. He splits the cost with his roommate.
I'm here to fill my gas cylinder, It got run out some 3 days ago, So I'm here to fill it.
The last time it was filled, when was it?
So I'm currently with a roommate. He filled it at 40 cedis barely 3 months ago. So I'm here to fill it, and I couldn't even fill it at 50 cedis because it actually takes probably 74 cedis to fill it. So yes.
It is increasingly becoming difficult for breadwinners to buy for dependents. Derek is supposed to squeeze almost 200 cedis out of his income every month to fill 2 7kg cylinders for his dear mother.
I spent about 148 or so for the two. Basically, they told me one is for 74, so the two is 148. Actually, that was last 2 weeks. I think it was 50 cedis or so. And today, as I came, they said one is for 74. It has really affected everybody. Actually, all of us know about the economy, as the economy is going. Tomorrow you go, everything has changed. So actually, it's really dipping into our pockets.
Supervisor Silvarius Akentuna says the price instability is threatening the business and employment of workers.
If the customers are not coming, where is the good for us? There's no goodness in it.
Until there is an intervention from government on the price of gas, Deborah, Sammy, Prince, Derek may have to turn to charcoal, which could go against the government's goal of protecting the environment.
That's our Living Standard series, where we can hear from Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, George Kumi, campaigning for the taxes on LPG to be scrapped.
This is a product that our West African neighbors, if you go to La Côte d'Ivoire, they are subsidizing the LPG to the tune of about 25%. But in Ghana, we are not subsidizing, but we've rather put 18% tax on the product. This is the way if you can't subsidize the product like your neighboring countries are doing, why do you put tax on it? So we as an association have identified this problem, and we have been calling on government for the past 4 years to consider removing these taxes from the product. We are not saying by removing the taxes from the product, every Ghanaian is going to use LPG. But the LPG is a product with an elastic demand. It's very highly price sensitive. So every single peso that you remove from the price of LPG goes a long way to affect its consumption, goes to increase consumption. So we believe that 18,000 tax, when removed, will rope a lot of people into the well. So we don't see any immediate solution apart from government taking that bold step to say that, look, I have taken off taxes from LPG. Let's go at cost price so that it will bring some relief to consumers.
So that's a story with Living Standard series and LPG tonight. Rikus, when was the last time you cooked with LPG?
Just this weekend.
You boiled water for tea leaf?
Nah, fried sunny side up egg.
MFA wants a special delivery.
Do you want medium? Or do you want it uncooked?
All
done.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
that's
done.
pretty boring. Huh?
Very boring. What's in sports?
Well, so as you know, Thomas Partey nowadays he's not just the deputy captain of the Black Stars. He's also a development chief at the Krobo. So now when he speaks we have to listen. And just this evening, we do know that Inaki Williams and his brother Nico Williams, of Spanish, descent and then Ghanaian roots, have landed in Ghana and are set to hold talks with the leaders of the Ghana Football Association concerning a possible nationality switch. And Thomas Partey has been speaking on this subject, and he believes that Ghana would need these players to commit, especially ahead of the World Cup in Qatar.
I think everybody have their career. You can't push someone, to do something that they are not ready to do. So if they come, they are very welcome because we really need them, and we need all the players. And everyone that is really ready to play for Ghana, we need them. And we are very much happy to receive whoever is ready to play for Ghana.
So yeah, that was Thomas Partey, and it's not just the Williams brothers. There's also Callum Hudson-Odoi, there's Tariq Lamptey, and there's also Eddie Nketiah. So we could see a whole new Ghana team come November.
Foreign team, right? Okay. All right. And tonight, the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice and the Ghana Integrity Initiative, they've condemned the delay in the inauguration of the board for the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We can hear from Joseph Otal speaking on PM Express last night.
Well, I first ask him if the delay is fatal.
Look, Evans, I just want to be very straight on this. It's fatal. There's no reason why the board is not sworn in. There's no reason. We submitted the names long ago. We were requested to submit those names as far back as March or thereabouts, or even earlier.
March this year?
Yeah. No, I'm talking of even earlier.
Okay.
So we have submitted the names. Whatever checks they want to do, whatever they want to do, they need to have done that, because the OSP needs a board to give him direction.
And that Joseph Otal heads the SHRAJ.
Well, we wrap up in Parliament tonight because there was some drama. You know that the Lands and Natural Resources Minister was in Parliament to answer some questions. And tonight, the issue that came up also was on the rendering account for the Apieti Support Fund. Yes, what transpired?
Speaker, as at Monday, 6th June 2022, the committee had received cash donations totaling the cedi equivalent of 42,527,380 Ghana cedis, 2 pesos. This amount includes the 4 installment payments made by Maxam Ghana Limited. Out of this amount, 1 million Ghana cedis has been advanced to the Apieti Reconstruction Implementation Committee to complete temporary structures to accommodate the victims of the incident. What we have raised so far is just a fraction of it, which is why we continue to call on Ghanaians to contribute to the fund for us to be able to reconstruct the community. Significantly, Mr. Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Prestia Univali, who is asked this question, and who is the Member of Parliament of the community, and who enjoys the mandate of his constituency, has not contributed to this fund.
He has done, and it doesn't report to you. So, Mr. Speaker, our colleague must withdraw that comment and apologize to our colleague.
And let me put on record that I will never deliberately denigrate any member of this house.
Honorable Minister, please, no. Please allow me to handle the house, please. Honorable Minister.
Allow him to handle the house. So how was this resolved?
Well, he finally withdrew it. He withdrew the comments. And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of Newsnight. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. The geeks are up next. What are we doing tonight?
So today we're talking about, we're talking about intellectual property and how to protect your innovations and inventions.
Really? On the net?
Everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
Yeah, right now, tech is ruling the world. We are ruling everywhere.
That's true.
Patents.
That's true.
And everything.
I agree.
People are creating on TikTok, on YouTube.
Yeah.
How do you protect all that, your intellectual property?
The Nigerians have an award for social media content creators. So it's actually very innovative.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that I've been watching on TikTok, I've now become addicted to it when I don't have anything to do. So that some of them want to watch. I thought, okay, that's true. People are actually creating using their iPhones and stuff.
So do you know how to do any TikTok dances?
Yes.
So do one.
I think I learned the one about
flat. Do the down flat.
Down flat is the one I
Do the
learned.
down flat.
Yeah, I mean,
Do it, please. We are watching.
come and see
on
me in
Facebook.
Chambers.
Oh.
Gig Squad is our